So talk to me about the role of the 461st.
The 461st is the active duty component of what we like to call Team J-Stars. Together with the 116th Air Control Wing, the 461st Air Control Wing flies, operates, maintains the J-Stars aircraft, and we also have the 53rd Air Traffic Control Squadron, which is a airfield maintenance, airfield equipment, airfield nav aids, and air traffic control squadron.
And why is your mission so important for the Air Force and for the DoD as a whole?
Well, with a small fleet of only 16 aircraft and a very small unit with the Air Traffic Control Squadron, the 461st, along with the 116th, are the only ones that provide the capabilities that we do. The 53rd specifically is the only active duty unit that does Air Traffic Control Squadron work, and there's other guard units, of course, and then the 461st is the only J-Stars unit. We're in high demand. The requests never stop coming in.
And you guys are always gone and out doing things.
Yes, ma'am. We have crews and jets on the road all the time. We swap in and out of different theaters based on combatant commander requirements and where the Joint Staff sends us at different times around the year.
And tell me a little bit about yourself. What got you here to this point?
Well, I'm a career air battle manager. I've been doing this for 24 years in about 10 days. It'll be 24 years. So I was here at Robins about 8 years ago at the squadron level, and then I've come back now as the wing commander. But as an air battle manager, in the back of the aircraft, we are providing the command and control, the data fusion, along with our Army operators and our intel operators.
And what is kind of the legacy that you want to leave behind as the wing commander here?
Well, I have about 60 days to go before I move out. Our active duty commanders usually swap out every 2 years, and for me, it's about making things better for those who come behind us, making the mission better, and really making our Air Force better. And as the 461st, anything that affects the Guard, it affects anything that affects the 116th, it also affects the 461st. We can't do our mission without them, and they can't do their mission without us for the most part. And really, that relationship and continuing that mission in the future, whether it's a buildup of ABMS along with flying the current jets we have, and however that future is going to turn out, we'll be here together.
And what is some advice you will leave to the next person that takes over?
Really to continue the good relationship that we have with the community, continue the good relationship that we have with the 116th, and also to dive into that air battle or advanced battle management system that is coming in the future on how we become a better part of that mission. Hope that makes sense.
Yes. What are some things you've learned over your time as being a commander here?
Wow, that's a big one.
I'm sure it's a long list, but...
You know, there's a whole lot of things that you're never really prepared for. You have to take them one at a time as they come and deal with each with a level head and a bit of patience, because in the military, bureaucracy and red tape can sometimes get in the way, and just the length of time that it takes to do some things can draw decisions out. It can draw just missions out, depending.
So 60 days out, what's next for you?
I am going to a defense fellowship in New York City to work with the Council on Foreign Relations for 1 year to be a military ambassador to that organization.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
And do you know who will be coming in to take?
I do. My current Vice Wing Commander, Colonel Ed Goebel, is going to move up into the command position, so he will bring with him 2 years of continuity and 2 years of understanding the mission already, and stay for another 2 years for a total of 4. So he's already in place. We don't have to wait for him to get here, and he will bring a huge breadth of knowledge and capability along with him.
And how important is that he's already here and kind of knows everyone here and knows the system as we're starting to get into that transition phase?
I think it's really important. It's not often that active duty vice commanders move up into the commander position, but this time he's the best man for the job, and he's in the right place at the right time as we do move into ABMS. And his experience also with 20 plus years in the Air Force that he brings to the fight is going to be very important as we move forward.
And what are your thoughts on what that's going to look like moving forward as we start to transition?
So I like to think about ABMS, the Advanced Battle Management System, as kind of a net around the world. Some people like to also describe it as a Christmas tree, but if you've got a net around the world, everything in the military needs to be connected to it. If ABMS is a Christmas tree, then ABMS is the stalk, the trunk, and anything you hang out on a limb has to be able to connect to it. Really, it's an architecture. So it's a system of systems, as Colonel Crumbly said, and every program of record out there has to be able to connect to this system. And honestly, I think budgeting, sustainment, and how we move forward with our Air Force, it's going to depend on whether you're connected to ABMS or not. And that's going to happen right here at Middle Georgia with possibly a fusion center with operators in that fusion center on the ground, as well as flying planes or possibly remotely piloted aircraft.
And what does that say about Robins and about 461st and 116th that they're wanting to bring that here?
Our Air Force leaders have picked Robins Air Force Base in Middle Georgia because of not only the units that are here right now, but the possibilities, the potential for the area. There are organizations, there's buildings, there's space on this base to expand, as well as really the technical capabilities of this region to feed the fight, whether it be the technical colleges, Georgia Tech, you name it, GTRI, lots of good organizations that can help feed into that mission from a civilian side of the house. And I just totally lost my train of thought, I'm sorry.
Well, how important is going to be to maintain a good relationship with the community as we start going into that transition, especially to bring in those people who are coming from Georgia Tech or the technical colleges all around here?
I think it will be very important. Our community is really involved with all the mission sets here at Robins Air Force Base and with the leadership teams and just our airmen and soldiers that are here at Robins. A very large civilian population on base as well, and as we move to new missions, we still don't know what they're going to look like. It could be a lot of civilian maintenance, it could be a lot of contractor maintenance, and as we look around the Middle Georgia area, we're postured very well for that.
And like you said, we really don't know what it's going to look like as we get into that ABMS system. What are your thoughts on how you're going to be able to make that transition and not lose people and keep people engaged and wanting to move over?
Well, we have to do the current mission that we have right now and continue to do that for the next 10, 15 to 20 years. And one thing that Colonel Crumbly and I do is tell our folks that we're going to be flying these jets for a long time. In order to kind of tamp down some of the pressure, the folks thinking they need to go find a new job. But as we do transition over, we have the technical skills, whether it be pilots, navigators, combat systems officers, air battle managers, intelligence and intelligence professionals, and all of our maintenance and support staff here that could really take that mission to new heights.
And you all have had a lot of support too from legislators as we have gone through this whole process.
We have. If it weren't for the Georgia delegation and the rest of the congressional advocates for what we're doing here with JSTARS, the mission set, as well as here in Middle Georgia for the base, Robins Air Force Base, we might not be as well off as we are, but as we look into the future, there's a whole lot of support for the Advanced Battle Management System, as well as for continuing to fly the airplanes that we fly right now.
And I think as people were starting to introduce the idea of the air battle management system, there's some hesitation. People were thinking, well, what is the future of JSTARS? Are they just going to fizzle out? What's going to happen? But no, it's just a transition into something new.
Right. I think JSTARS is a bridging effort. It will become a bridging effort into air battle or advanced battle management systems. What we do right now in the air on a 707 is regional in scope. If we're doing it from a advanced fusion center here at Robins Air Force Base on the ground, through that net that I talked about around the world with aircraft that are flying, with people that are on the ground, as well as 5th and 6th gen fighters out in the airspace. The folks that are here now doing it on our jets can transition to that new mission very well.
And you all are extremely busy, as we mentioned before. You guys are gone a lot. You're always, on a mission. How are you going to be able to incorporate that training to get into this new system with the already busy schedule you have?
So I think the training we're doing now will set us up for success in the future. As I said before, I think ABMS is more of a system of systems, kind of a network and architecture that all of the programs of record are going to have to bring their training and their capabilities to in the future.
Okay. And, I asked Colonel Crumley about this too, but what about the organic maintenance here being done at Robins? What are your thoughts on that and how it's been working?
It's working really well. I would leave that to General Kubinick to talk about exactly how it's working, but it's a test right now with the first jet to see what their capacity and their capability are and then we'll go from there, planning out whether we'll move more jets into organic capability or organic maintenance here. We probably will, because they've shown that there's a capability and a capacity. I believe our Air Force leaders are also looking at that to see how that can really build Robins Air Force Base out into a maintenance hub in the Southeast, even bigger than it is right now.
And what are the effects for you all and your workflow having that maintenance done here?
So for us, it is right across the ramp. If there's technical expertise needed, we could possibly provide that help. We're already doing some depot level maintenance on a small scale with our maintainers in the 116th and 461st in order to help out getting our jets off the line quicker and get them back into the fight quicker. But really having them close and right here on Robins Air Force Base, we could provide the technical expertise as needed. And really the community, instead of having JSTARS operations here and maintenance done in another state, it could be all right here at Robins Air Force Base.
Okay. And talk to a little bit about your response to Hurricane Michael.
So Hurricane Michael hit. We actually got some requests to see if we could go fly and provide both support from the air and support on the ground. So when Michael tore through the panhandle of Florida, within about 18 hours, we had people on the back of CV-22s and on C-130s going down to Tyndall Air Force Base, and that's the members of our 53rd Air Traffic Control Squadron, in order to help reopen their runways and assess the navigational aids that they have at Tyndall Air Force Base. And that was all in preparation for heavy jets to come in and bring in teams, as well as all the security that was needed to help maintain the base and clean up the base during the initial phases.
And I'm sure that was not an easy job because, Tyndall was not in good shape after
it was not an easy job. And, within 36 hours, we had a convoy team of about 40 individuals from the 53rd traveling down to Tyndall with their control equipment, portable navigation aids, as well as their air traffic controllers and their portable tower in order to reopen that airfield.
And when they're not doing that kind of response to hurricane or natural disaster relief, what do they do outside of that?
So they have working agreements with Robins Air Force Base to help out in the tower here, and also every couple of months they go and open up Perry Airport. Instead of it being a unmanned tower at Perry, they'll go man the airfield and run operations there for about a week.
Okay.
And really that gives a lot of training to all of the civilian pilots in the local area that want to work with controllers on the Perry Airfield.
That's very interesting. I did not know that. And going back to now getting into hurricane season, getting into, possibly having some more hit Georgia. It seems to happen almost every year.
Right.
What does the preparation for you all look like?
So we are constantly training, as Colonel Crumbly said. The training that we do for wartime scenarios translates very well to domestic events if we're called upon to do that. And it's interesting, as an active duty unit that is paired up with an Air National Guard unit, we're one of the few active duty units that get to understand domestic operations. And when the governor calls the 116th to come and help, we go help as well where needed, where Colonel Crumbly's team needs us to help out. And not a lot of units around the country get to do that. As we do train for it, we're constantly watching the weather, of course, just for our daily flying operations. But when we do see some of the big ones coming, it reminds us of what happened over the past few years and what we did do for Hurricane Michael. And we will go ahead and talk to our subordinate commands and make sure that they are ready and have jets prepared and crews prepared in case we are called upon to launch again.
And you did mention, too, you guys have a very unique relationship between the 461st and the 116th.
Right.
And what is that like, being able to work with another unit and really feed off of each other?
I think it's great because the 116th brings years and years of expertise. And I'm not trying to say that they have a bunch of older folks, but they've been here for quite a long time, since 2002. JSTAR stood up in the late 90s, 96, 97, I think Colonel Crumbly said, when the 93rd Air Control Wing and the 116th Air Control Wing started flying JSTARS together. And ever since then, we've been doing this total force integration thing that the Air Force is kind of getting back into now. Mm-hmm. We've been doing it for a long time. And as the active duty folks rotate out every 2 to 3 to 4 years, just depending, the Guard is here. The 116th Air Control Wing from the Georgia Air National Guard continues the mission with the expertise. So where some units might have to hold people a whole lot longer on the active duty side for expertise, we can continue to rotate out and get people different experiences around the country, around the world, and not have to necessarily keep them here as long.
And that's probably really going to come in handy when we start to transition to ABMS too.
Yes, ma'am, and like we said before, we don't really know what it's going to look like, but that transition with the Guard bringing their expertise and the active duty providing members as well to that fight that will bring expertise from their different assignments around the world. The advanced battle management processes, the advanced battle management system, I think will be set very well.
What you all get from the Central Georgia community, talk about how that helps you.
Well, I think it's huge, especially with the aviation technology that's going on in Middle Georgia, the aviation and technology type of education and businesses that are going on. I think they feed the ALC very well from a maintenance and really an aviation town aspect of it. And then from just the community of Warner Robins and really Macon and Middle Georgia that support our military and do so many things for our guardsmen and our active duty here in the area.
But let's talk about JSTARS and the important role that JSTARS plays for the Air Force and the DoD. I think that's something that not everyone understands.
So JSTARS provides an airborne battle management capability, and the plane has a giant radar on the bottom, a 40-foot canoe with a sensor, a radar in it. That sensor provides us with situational awareness through ground moving target indicator, GMTI, so that we can provide a picture to the ground commanders and our air component commanders of what's going on in the battle space. Those commanders use that data and fuse that data along with our onboard operators with all the other assets that are in the region, in that battle management area, in order to affect the fires and the capabilities that the commanders want. We have a very unique capability and we're in very high demand, so we can't go everywhere that we're wanted, but it's good to be wanted as well.
Very true. And how do you keep morale when you guys are gone so much and you're so busy? I'm sure young airmen, airwomen who come through here, it's got to be wearing on them a little bit at times.
It is a little bit wearing, but having a sister wing with a 1/16th, we can share that burden to some extent. And also, if we do a good job in taking care of our airmen and we take care of their families, they're happy at work, they're happy at home, it's going to be a better environment for all of us, and it's going to be a better mission accomplishment for all of us. So we do focus on folks, we focus on our airmen and our soldiers in order to make sure that we're taking care of them and their families, and there's a really good, there's a good life here in Middle Georgia for them to have.
And what are you going to miss about Middle Georgia?
I think I'm going to miss the southern food because I grew up in Mississippi and I love it. I'm going to miss, so I went to New York just really quickly, but I'm going to miss the weather. I'm going to miss the open spaces, open areas, instead of everybody being crammed on top of each other as well.
That's going to be a big transition for you.
It is.
And how has being the commander here prepared you for that new role that you're going to have?
Well, I think after 24 years in the Air Force and getting an opportunity to command a large organization like this, it kind of grounds you in the different aspects of not only our mission here, but what it is that our airmen are looking for and what our airmen are striving to do in order to accomplish the mission, as well as just to be happy and take care of themselves and to excel and to make the mission better. As I move forward, I've learned that a calm, steady hand sometimes is the best way, no matter what explosion just happened, because everybody's watching sometimes. And I don't know, just the relationships that I've built here in Middle Georgia with other wing commanders, other off-base organizations, as well as our leadership downtown is probably prepared me for the social and leadership aspect that I'm moving into.
And as far as the outlook for JSTARS, having been in this position, having so much experience yourself, what would you say about the outlook of JSTARS as we go to this transition?
The outlook for JSTARS is bright. We have a one-off capability, as we talked about earlier. We're in high demand, and I believe it is a bridging effort to ABMS. So we're going to continue to fly and feed the ABMS system process as it is actually built up over time. And when our nation's leaders decide it's time for J-Stars to be parked, we'll think about that a long time down the road.